朝でございます。東京8月。さあ朝ごはん作っていくわよ。
Nice. I'm not sure if this is a way for her to be clickbaity or if this is her real house. Because if this is a real house, I can promise you one thing. I'm not the cleanest person, but I'm not this level dirty. This is some next level shit. This is some Super Saiyan level nastiness. Ugh. Fucking hell.
I should have listened to Asmongold. This shouldn't be a man's job. I should have a girlfriend. I should have listened to Asmongold.
You might be wondering why me, the dictionary definition of a slob, have decided to make a change and start living like a normal human being.
Actually, maybe it's better that I just show you.
You've probably heard that Japan has a huge hikikomori problem. Hikikomori are people who are withdrawn from society and
my big problem with this whole situation is if you don't watch any anime or you are not very familiar with Japanese culture, hikikomoris are basically shut-ins. If you want to make it the easiest way possible to explain it, it's a shut-in. Boom, done. That's the end all be all. That's what it is. And the thing about shut-ins in Japan is that they are next level shut-in. It's not like, you're mostly in and then you go out. It's not like you're a heavy introvert. It's you are shut in. This guy might die in the house and nobody might even notice. There's been times in Japan where people have died and they haven't noticed it until the body started decomposing so much that it started like really rotting because it's already dirty in there because they have like piles of garbage and shit.
Basically spend all their time in their own room or apartment. It is a huge growing problem since already there are around 1 million people in Japan confined in their apartments. Make that 1,000,001. Since hikikomoris have become normalized, it is no surprise that people...
That's what I was talking about. You see the trash heap there? It's like, have you ever been to a trash day in any type of communal area where it's like, oh, there's no more space in the bins and everybody's just shoving it up? That's a hikikomori's house. Not outside, not trash bin. This is a hikikomori's house.
People have started to watch content made by them too.
No. Jesus
最後に
Louise.
使うなこれ。もうこれでね何作るかわかるよね。カレー食べたいななんて。
Oh, my nasty god.
We people are attracted to extremes. That's why shows like Keeping Up with the Kardashians and Hoarders are popular.
Yeah, Hoarders was quite a popular show. I remember that one. And the cleanup crews coming in and like everybody's like, oh no, don't take my stuff away. And then the cleaners are like, oh man, this is a therapeutic for you, isn't it? And they're like, oh, I want to kill myself. I was like, what the hell? This is funny as fuck. However, I'm sure that the extreme part is a very good point, but Keeping Up with the Kardashians, it's a little bit different because they all got famous from the dad being a famous athlete, and then things just, they were already up there. It's not like it was some sort of just an extreme. It was more to it than that. But I absolutely get his point, and that's not what I'm arguing.
If we put people on a spectrum, most people live normal lives around here. And they are fascinated by people who live very different lives compared to theirs. And the more extreme you go, the more you stand out.
この上京してから4年以上一度もお掃除しない部屋を。
I mean, that's not something you should say with pride. I mean, no, you know what? After seeing this, I'm not dirty at all. I'm super clean. Like I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. At least when I used to live alone, completely alone for a good while when I was 16, and even then I washed my bed sheets every week or 2 weeks. I was 16. You have no excuse, lady. But maybe they want to live like this. Maybe it's like some sort of like, I don't know, fetish to some degree. Maybe it's like a comfort to live in trash because they feel like trash.
軽く片付けましょう。
Jesus fuck. Oh.
よーし、引きこもり歴10年の斎藤ちゃんが10秒で作れるカレーライスを教えようじゃないか。
This has caused hikikomori content creators to compete who can live the most disgusting lives in order to get views. Some people just pretend to live in filth, like this girl who cleaned up her trash and put it behind her to pretend she's living that hikikomori lifestyle. And then there's the real deals, like Haritsu, who popped off recently for cooking and eating literally rotten food.
This isn't about being a hikikomori anymore. This is just about the extremes that we're talking about. This is just about views. This is just about clickbait. This is just about getting attention. That's the problem. These people now, when they're trying to get attention any single way they can. That is very different from hikikomori. That is just being vile for the sake of views and money. And I'm assuming money is a good thing, but like Logan Paul walking into the forests going, oh, there's a body, there are things that shouldn't be done, like eating rotting meat unless you're dying. And I mean, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people that say, oh, there is rotten meat that's good. Yeah, I'm sure there is some sort of sushi, because sushi was fermented fish in the beginning, right? There is fermented fish snacks and stuff in Sweden and different cultures. I'm not saying those. I'm saying this shit. Oh,
it's
nasty.
obvious that he is clearly playing it up for the camera, even though, of course, he is living in an absolute nightmare apartment. But it's working. This guy has tens of millions of views on each of his videos, and every day more people are entering into the competition.
どうしよう。こぼしちゃった。
The most recent one being Saikyo-chan.
She looks like she has a big filter on there, no? That looks like some alien filter. So she gets those big ass cheekbones. Saikyo also means the strongest. So I'm assuming she's basically saying I'm the strongest hikikomori.
Who I want to concentrate on today, because last week her videos became mega viral, being shared all over the internet. Now it's pretty obvious why she immediately started trending on Twitter and had her videos shared on Reddit. Not to mention getting millions of views on TikTok. It is rare to see a pretty young girl living in these kind of conditions, which by itself is novel, so it's not surprising people started sharing them. But I think the biggest reason is that since she is a pretty girl, she immediately has multiple audiences interested in this kind of content. First of all, there are those who like watching other people who are doing worse than them. Then there are people who relate to her, like other hikikomoris. And lastly, those people who find out she's never had a boyfriend and think to themselves, that could be me.
Listen, anybody who thinks this is I can fix her, there's more to fix here than just her filth. Like, this is a mentality. This is not just, oh, I'm not gonna clean up. She's okay living with the roaches. She's okay living in this filth. She's okay eating shitty food that looks absolutely trash after she makes it. She's okay spilling it all over the floor. Like, these are genuine problems, most likely in her psyche. And yes, if you're a hikikomori yourself, or if you're a dirty slob yourself, maybe she is a good catch. Maybe she is. But I can't see it. I just can't see it. I can't. No shit, she's never had a boyfriend. Nobody's ever come to her apartment.
I can fix her.
Yeah, that's the problem.
歩き来た。
One thing I don't want to do in this video is make fun of her or be like, oh my god, look at her, she's so crazy. Because I actually watched an interview that she did a year ago, before she became famous, and it is very obvious that she doesn't have her life in control.
That's what I said. Nobody that has a type of a situation like this has their life in control. Like, has control over the life, not life in control. That's what he said. It's often deep-rooted psychological trauma. Like, people talk about how the Vikings were like this and this and this. Did you know that the Vikings were so clean that a lot of the medieval British ladies preferred Viking men? You know, they were groomed, they braided their hair, they smelled good. So it has something to do, like, if you take care of yourself, you'll feel that. And vice versa, if you don't take care of yourself, that'll spiral. You see that with a lot of content creators that don't take care of themselves. You see the emancipation and the skinny, pale look and stuff. It's just not good for people to do this. Am I saying don't do it? Yeah, a little bit. I'm saying that. Am I saying find help? Absolutely. You know, even ask somebody that's just like a fairly fit person. Or what do you do to become fit? Or what do you do to get more friends? Or anything, any friend, any help you can take.
Because of external factors.
Of course.
親と縁切ってるんで、一応他人ってなってるから、なんか何年も会ってないから今生きてるかどうかすら分かんないんですよね。生存すら分かんなくて、もう何年も会ってないし、なんか連絡、なんかそのメールとか LINE とか電話すらしないんですよね。
高1で初めて精神病棟入院？
そうですね。高1ぐらいから精神がかかるようになって、なんかその実際なんかその入院する前にもなんか心療内科かな。その入院する精神科医科の心療内科とかかかったこととかあって、なんか私は漢方薬。
When she's speaking normally, you can hear her being really sick. And you can also see it now the filters are gone and everything. It's not the same person.
処方箋飲んでた時期もありました。だから漢方薬飲みながらこう通ってた時期もありましたね。
どれぐらいの期間に入院したんですか？
16歳から17歳で1年と1ヶ月です。確か小走りから早く逃げましたね。あんまり早く走っちゃって病院なんで廊下なんで危ないんで、とにかく早く小走りから早く逃げました。そういうこともありましたね。
I think you can criticize and make fun of people who could have control of their lives if they just, tried.
This is the problem. This is where me and him fundamentally disagree. I think everybody can get a hold of their life if they fundamentally try. Do I think some people will have it more difficult than others? Absolutely. Do I think it's impossible? No. I know people with all sorts of ailments. They're living perfectly healthy lives and they're trying to be healthy. But it's also a mindset and mentality to take care of yourself. Because it's okay. A lot of people, like, when they have somebody to take care of, they'll be much more inclined to do that because they neglect themselves. And maybe she's one of these people, but I feel like this is a little bit of a cop-out. It's like, oh, well, she can take care of herself. She doesn't have Down syndrome, and even they take care of themselves more. I used to work with them.
Like, I think you can make fun of me for the way I live, or for my weight, or something that I could change if I actually tried, if I just put my mind into it, because I am still a relatively sane person, and the reason I am the way I am is simply because of my own fault. To an extent, of course, I wouldn't want to wake up every day to people ridiculing me online, but I think you get the point. However, in this interview, Saikyo-chan goes on detail about her past of abuse, parental troubles, and mental illness. It quickly becomes clear that it isn't her fault she ended up in this situation, and honestly, it's sad that some of us have to struggle like her in life. Especially in Japan, where once you drop out of society, there are very little people out there willing to help, and mental health care is something Japan as a society is very much behind in.
This is indeed true, and I completely agree with it. You have people that just want to have cuddles and hugs, and there are cuddle and hug sessions, literally, or sessions where you lay on a girl's lap and you have that ear wax taken out. There's so many things in Japan that are just incredibly mundane, but it's a paid for service because people have so little attention, affection, comfort, all of them. But I understand what he's saying about the traumatic experiences, but there's nobody but yourself that can fix this. You have to take action, even if you know you can't fix it yourself. You are actively doing something by going to somebody that can help. And I'm not advocating for her to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist or whatever. I'm advocating for them to get help actively somewhere. Doesn't matter where, somewhere. It is a cop-out. Oh, I am sick, I can't ever get better. That's not true. Everybody can get better. That's a positive attitude, and it's a can-do. It can do attitude.
Most of her videos are about her cooking instant ramen either in her apartment or outside, where she very much stands out. One thing I personally wish she would post more are karaoke videos, because she is actually a really good singer. Though, unsurprisingly, her most watched videos are those where she shows around her apartment.
Makes sense, because that's a pigsty right there. Yes, I know pigs are not so dirty.
The problem with her apartment isn't just
that
that she suffers from it, because it actually affects everyone around her too. The apartment complex she lives in has a restaurant downstairs and a bakery right next to it, both of which have to suffer from the cockroaches coming out of her apartment.
That's another problem, right? You are only noticing her because she's making problems for other people. Like I was saying in the example earlier, if she died, and the people wouldn't notice until she started stinking or leaking or something. And that's the truth. You might think me mad or angry or no, sorry, not angry, but mad or mean saying this, but it's the truth. It's just a fundamental truth that they don't care unless it affects them. And this affects them because there's a bunch of cockroaches everywhere now. So what? The two rental companies that are or the same rental company that are renting out the two places underneath, what are they gonna do? People can't be making food there. There's a bunch of cockroaches.
Apartment. Not to mention her neighbors. They have banded together to try and get her to move out because the smell and cockroaches are making their way into their apartments. Just 2 weeks ago, they threatened to take her to civil court unless she either changes her behavior or moves out.
I mean, that's
Japan,
pretty
and especially
nice
Tokyo, is very densely populated, so having troublesome neighbors like her is something that really is a nightmare to the people around her, and I should know. My upstairs neighbor had a similar situation going on, which is why, as you can see, I put toilet paper to fill out the holes in my ceiling because cockroaches started to come out of there. I also found...
That is a really, really interesting thing we don't talk about in Japan. The extreme overpopulation and the high amount of hikikomori is happening, so they're just kind of crawling all over and breeding in between spaces. Because let's be honest, if you have a cockroach in the house or 10 cockroaches in the house, they're gonna breed, right? And if they have enough food to keep breeding, they will keep breeding. Because any prey animal will keep breeding if there's no predators, right? So if nobody's killing them, you know what's gonna happen. But the problem is, if they now start breeding in between the floorboards and in between the apartments and in the actual, like, the attic spaces, etc., man, you're gonna have it in the whole apartment complex soon.
Found out that he had made a Grindr account with pictures taken off my Instagram, inviting people to his apartment for threesomes. His plan was obviously that I wouldn't, of course, show up, and then he would be with the victim there, just two of them, and be like, well, since we're here. Not to mention my lovely neighbor who used to make this noise until 5 AM every single day. So from
what the
personal experience, I can say that troublesome neighbors are something you really do not want in Japan, because everyone lives so close to each other, it's impossible to avoid interactions with these people. We will see how the situation with Saikyo-chan develops, since she just made it big online, and right now all she is doing is live streaming to thousands of people on TikTok and posting pictures of her infected food with mold growing out of it on Twitter.
That's the problem, because she's also giving the authorities a reason to throw her out. I mean, she doesn't really need to live in Tokyo anymore, does she? So that shouldn't be a problem. Maybe she just moved a bit rural and get a hikikomori house.
Twitter. She also hasn't paid her rent in about 2 years, and now with the neighbors taking her into civil court, it's hard for me to think that she's gonna be living in her current place for too long.
Well,
and I'm not saying this trend of maxing where people brag about their bad living conditions is only happening in Japan, since recently there have been some Western live streamers too, boasting about their own filthiness.
I went over what we have. We have a roach infestation. Get some of these bowls down. That's a little crusted on. Might need to soak it in some hot water first.
It makes them feel normal. And I know it sounds weird because this isn't normal.
No,
but I
it's
think
not.
to many people, seeing millionaires like Asmongold live like they aren't millionaires gives them a certain authenticity and...
But it doesn't really. Just because one person's doing it doesn't mean that everybody should be doing it. And just because one person... And you can see he has now got health problems, if I'm not mistaken. So you are saying, I'm going to follow a guy that made loads of money and then get health problems by living like he does. Am I saying his opinions are bad? No, absolutely not. Am I saying that you shouldn't be living in the same type of filth because you'll get sick? Absolutely. Take care of yourself, exercise, even if it's walking, even if it's just for some mental fresh air, whatever, doesn't matter. But don't follow bad examples like this. And physically and actively, here's a bad example. And I don't ever think he said, oh, do what I do.
It's part of their charm that money hasn't changed them. In the end, I think we can all agree that even though this kind of content is popular and it will get you views, having this kind of trend in our society is pretty much a net negative. I have to be honest, watching hours of these poor girls attempt to become famous, it wasn't fun.
ちなみにじゃあ今はどういう目標があるんですか？なんかこういう
目標ですか？
はい、なんか生きていく上でという。
さっきも話有名になりたいですね。
But why does she want to be famous? Like, we got to break down the reason. Is it because she wants to be loved? Is it because she wants attention? Is it because she wants... What is it? What's the reason for her wanting to be famous? That's really where we have to go and dig. Not that she wants to be famous, because that means jack shit.